Good evening and welcome to Slam the Gavel, the show that tells it all regarding family court, criminal court, and other court issues, as well as CPS. I am your host, Maryann Petri. You can find me, my books, and blogs on dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. And if you have a tale to tell, you're also welcome to contact me there as well at dismantlingfamilycourtcorruption.com. I'm happy to have Mark Andrews back on. He was last on the podcast season 2, episode 80, season 3, episodes 13 and 23, season 4, episodes 116 and 138, and season 5, 29, 61 and 165, where we talked about no rights and no remedies in the courts. And Mark is going to be in my next book that will be coming out. He was in Raised by These Wolves, How Family and Federal Courts Are Failing Our Children. And you can see him there. And he is chapter 26. And then he appeared again in Raised by These Wolves, Child Trafficking Within the Foster Care and Court System, where he was in chapter 24. So I welcome you back, Mark. We've got a lot of issues to talk about as you are a process server in Sonoma County, California. And apparently, I've been getting emails, rapid fire in a way, and I've been sending them to you.
Right.
Tell me more about that.
So one, thank you for having me on again. And part of these emails to explain to your listeners, um, there are only a handful of y'all that do this.
Mhm.
There's you, there's Susan Bassi down in Santa Clara, California. Eric Carroll did it over in Georgia, and his partner Robert Garza out of Texas. And they actually got some laws passed helping out family courts. There was this guy, Kenny, that ran something out of Kansas City. I was on his show once. But the fact that we get a platform here um, to, talk about cases, to talk about courts, so people aren't, just wondering all the time, like I was back in 2002 when I started my family law case. So bravo to all of you that step up and help. I know I've got a new show coming up. We're going to have one episode on the radio a week, and then we're going to work on 2 podcasts during the week because they gave me an opening slot, 30 minutes on a Saturday morning. You
Awesome.
know, it's
That's
not a
cool.
lot of time, but hey, it's 2 10-minute interviews, and I've already got a prosecutor willing to come on. I've got a retired judge willing to come on. Um, you know, uh, there's recently a big lawsuit here in Sonoma County where the ACLU came after the county because
Mhm.
of them flying drones in our backyards, and they were
Mm.
looking for permit violations. It was approved for, I believe they said, three like runs over to, and they were looking for marijuana grows originally.
Mm.
But you give two young guys a drone and the ability to screw it up, and they sure enough did. And they started flying in people's backyards, and they say there's video of them, looking at women through their windows and stuff. And it's a big lawsuit here. I've got one of the guys that's in that. So I've got some really good things coming up,
Mhm.
and I get all the the stuff I get from you and Susan and Eric and stuff. And recently, we've had a complaint. I'm not going to give out the lady's name
Mhm.
because I don't want anybody contacting her other than my lawyer or me.
Or me.
But she complained to you about a restraining order service that I did for her daughter. Her
Mhm.
daughter goes to college up in Sacramento. Really nice young lady. She's studying, I believe, to be a rehab counselor. But her parents, her dad is I believe, a transvestite cross-dressing wannabe rock star in northern LA.
Mhm.
She advertises her performances, but when you leave a note to try and serve her papers that her daughter's sending, she evaded me, and it took 3 trips to LA to get dad. And then after dad was done, it was, now I want you to serve my mother. And I'm like,
Mm.
at first I didn't, first I'm thinking, okay, I understand the dad, because even in my family, two of my nieces on the other side, their dad came out as a transsexual on Christmas and ruined it for them. I mean, these girls told her when she was alive, Uncle Mark is my male role model.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only guy that came around and was in these girls' lives. And with their dad, they were trading clothes,
Oh.
right? So I understand how catastrophic this could be to a young girl growing up. My
Mm-hmm.
nieces have gone through it, but
Mm-hmm.
I served dad, and then I had to go serve mom. And mom lives completely on the other end of the state. She lives up by the Oregon border. Dad
Mm-hmm.
lives all the way down in northern LA, right? So I believe it wasn't you, but Susan Bassey got an email. He charges these clients $650 an hour. You know, no, I don't. I charge locally about $100, 100 and a quarter an hour within an hour or so, where I work out of. And I charge based on how far I got to drive because California is one of the biggest states we have.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
can you imagine just driving out to the valley? It's 2 hours one way, 2 hours back. You're looking at 200 miles of driving, all the gas, the oil, all that stuff. So I've got to charge something reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thankful because I used to only charge $75. And my brother, one of my visits down in Los Angeles where he lives, he came in, hopped over the couch, grabbed a tablet, and he started looking up serving companies, corporations that do it. And he was
Mm-hmm.
looking at what they were getting. He's like, and you charge what? And if you get another one, he goes, and you charge what? He's like, you need to raise your prices. So I did raise it to that 100 a job, 100 and a quarter in that area. And, it's nobody has balked at it.
Mm-hmm.
And if they did, I would turn around, I negotiate. Maybe you're in a tough situation. Maybe this is a woman that had to flee her home with her child because her ex was beating her up and
Mm-hmm.
she doesn't have $100, you know? So you step up and, I'm a professional in this town for over 18 years now. 17 or 18. It's 2008 when I got my license.
Mm-hmm.
But, I appreciate before that, legal aid had, helped me with some stuff when I didn't have the money, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And as we were talking about earlier, I had one lady that I served a restraining order on. She didn't know, but she had a hooker living with her out in the Guerneville area,
Uh-oh.
which is out in like the woods area.
Uh-huh.
And this hooker would walk in the house with a full-grown German Shepherd on a leash and start scaring the heck out of these two women that live out there. And I served her the first time. I met them at a McDonald's. They gave me the thing. And I remember them giving me a whole bunch of ones and fives and change for my fee, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, however you're doing it, we got through it. She got served the initial part, you're temporarily restrained, you have a court date, and you need to show up. Well, apparently the hooker didn't show up for court. The restraining order was made permanent for 3 years. So I go and I serve this hooker. I know the bar she hung out at. I tracked her down and got her served. And I come back to the house for these ladies, and I could hear them up in the bedroom. She's like, I don't know what we're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
We can't sell any. We don't have any more jewelry to sell. He doesn't take jewelry. What are we gonna tell him? And I'm like, ladies, come down here. And they're like, what do you want, sir? And I'm like, what do you do for a living? It's like, well, every weekend I go sell my salsa and my vegetables at the local flea market in Sebastopol. I said, oh, really? I said, I have 7 guys coming over this weekend for a 49er game. If you got a jar of salsa or two, that'll be just fine. And I did that
Oh
job.
yeah.
She ended up giving me 12 jars of salsa, and it was really good.
Oh, I love salsa. Now I'm
Yeah,
hungry.
homemade.
Thanks.
She had different variations.
Mm-hmm.
But, I don't stick people where they can't afford it. And in this particular case with these two parents, I told the lady, you're asking me to go a long distance. She tried to have the sheriff do it. They failed at it because they're a lot cheaper than me, but they don't always get it done. I'm the one that'll show up at 5:30 in the morning and find your cross-dressing dad sitting at his mom's kitchen table smoking a cigarette.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I got daddy served. Mom, I served by mail once we located her. And now she's calling, you, Susan, and other people bashing me. And
Mm-hmm.
all I'm doing is a job,
Yeah,
it's,
yeah, this is your work. You can't help it.
yeah, not only that, she's, these type of things, because like I'm looking at also having y'all on my show that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
And, these aren't the type of things we need to generally be talking about.
Mhm.
Somebody having a hissy fit because they got served. you
Right.
know Maybe if you're such a great mom, you wouldn't have this problem with your own daughter who's in college. So apparently the young lady's got a brain in her head, because she's
Hmm.
been in Sacramento, I believe Sac State up there, or it's Sacramento. But she's studying to be a rehab thing, because after court, money's tight for her. So I often give
Hmm.
her a ride back up to the school by her
Hmm.
dorm. And when she asks me to show up and stuff, I show up. I didn't charge her for all the times I showed up in court. I just charged her for the serves. And
Hmm.
normally I can charge up to $300 for a court appearance.
Hmm.
And I don't, because she doesn't have it. She's, struggling in school, and she's dealing with something. And it's my job to help her get her legal papers, out there and get them served.
Yeah, and that's very compassionate, I mean, with people giving her a ride back to her college. I think you go above and beyond for people. And it's like people like you and me that I don't know, we get bashed easy. I don't know. So we're getting bashed for what we do with your job, and you're an 18-year veteran process server, and you also trained another process server who is now being charged with harassment of a judge.
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to be an expert witness in that case. So why don't they want to be held accountable? I mean, we all get served. It sucks, but
Well, they think this is a way to fight back against things and a way to challenge service. And all it's doing is, disrupting somebody's life and their income stream.
yeah.
In this particular case that you're talking about, I trained this young lady, and I've trained a couple people over the years, but she's someone that she took to it. Like, she got her license, she got her bond, she had me go and order badge for her out of Georgia, where I get them from. And she went out and, started serving. And she took some cues from me. I'm the one around California. If you want to serve an official, a member of the city board, a police officer, a judge, hey, everybody has the right to be served. It's
Hmm.
step one in your legal process. The court can't even touch your case until everybody has been noticed.
Hmm.
So, as you all well know from my video with Susan Bassey, she did the one, city attorney false arrest was what she called it. But it was, the head lawyer for county council had
Hmm.
charged me with trespassing.
Right. And that was in Sonoma County.
Yes, the head lawyer, the man making over $300,000 as a lawyer, he gets paid more than our congressman, had me arrested as a citizen because the sheriff wasn't going to arrest me. So he had me arrested. The sheriff gave me a ticket, sent me on my way. I've been cited, show up in court. Well, 2 hours later, that officer, what's his name? I'm drawing a blank on his name. It's in the morning here.
I know.
Um,
Yeah, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I woke you up.
no, it's okay. Anyway, he went gone back to his, barn and stuff at the sheriff's department, and he looked up the law on trespassing. And lo and behold, there's an exemption for process servers, because
Hmm.
I didn't show up at County Council Robert Pittman's house because I was there for weenies and beans and a barbecue. I was there to hand you legal papers because your office wouldn't take them. And there's video that proves that, because they have a video right outside the county council's door. I showed up, I spoke to their paralegal, and she goes, "You
Hmm.
can't serve that here, Mr. Andrews. That's a private lawsuit. That's not for the county." So at the time I was working for their office and doing serves for them. "Okay, ma'am, no problem. I'll go catch him at his home." So
Hmm.
I drove over to his house and I served him. Get the ticket. 2 hours later, that officer calls me, "Mr. Andrews, void that ticket. You were not arrested." Now, I was arrested. He was trying to get the lawyer out of it, but they voided it and cited that I was detained on the spot and released. And had that just been the end of it, the sheriff undid his stupidity, this would have all went away.
Right,
But he
right.
had to go and mess in another case I was in, and he got the Sonoma County DA's office to write a warrant for my arrest with 18 enhancements. And by the way, there's that arrest that they're talking about. Um, there's video of that body cam. There
Right.
was no there was no gun. There was no child. There
Uh-huh.
was no mountain of drugs. Um, I'm investigated every 2 years by the Department of Justice to keep my license.
Mm-hmm.
It said I had a prior criminal background and a prior criminal history, which I don't. Otherwise, I wouldn't have the badge that I have in my wallet. You know, so I do these hard serves. And so this young lady, she took on this thing of serving this judge. She
Mm-hmm.
did it the proper way. And her client came back and said, no, 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 no. You and I had a verbal contract. I told you, you put it in his hand, you get paid. You want to try it another way, that's on you. I contracted you to hand this to the judge personally and certify that to the court. So she did. She went down his house twice. And here's a real stand up guy. He has his wife come out, and he stays in the house. Oh, he's not
Oh,
here. Yeah, that's why his truck's sitting in the driveway with a hot radiator, you know? But okay, she didn't stay. She left. She pressed it a little bit. Then she went down to the local police station and she said, hey, I need to contact this judge. Here's my phone number. Can you please have him call me? I have papers to serve him. He never called. So she waited outside the court and he came out some 2 hours after, well after court closed, which means
mm,
he was hiding out in the courthouse to, again, not be served. But she went up to the truck, she handed it to him, and she walked away. And
yeah.
because they didn't get me on the trespassing, because it's both in the criminal and the civil code, that we are officers of the court. We're doing a job. I'm not here for a social visit. I'm here to
Mm,
hand you a legal document. If you don't like what it says, demur it. Get it, stricken from the record. But you
mm-hmm.
fight in court. You fight with the litigant in court. All they did was hire me as a legal professional, like you hire a lawyer, like you hire an investigator,
Mm-hmm.
right? So she gives them this, and then she gets a harassment charge, harassment restraining order. Yeah, civil harassment restraining order. And they already figured out, because he's a judge and has a conflict with all the other judges in the courthouse, he already sent it off to another county where we suspect that he probably has a friend in their office,
Mm,
right? But regardless, even if he has a friend there, any judge that would turn around and, give her a restraining order without video of her being, anything other than assertive,
mm,
you're damaging the profession. Do you really want to create, case law about going after process servers that are doing their job? You know? And Jordana didn't go out with me once or twice. She went out with me for a couple weeks. She's
right.
seen me serve a bunch of different people. She saw my attitude about how I serve and how I do things. I always look at it this way. I wear a badge that says State of California, County of Sonoma. I'm coming up to your house. I walk through a gate. I close the gate. I don't
Mm,
want your dog to get out if your dog gets out the front door,
right.
right? You treat people with respect. I don't know if you're right or you're wrong. I don't know if what's written in this pleading, if I've read it even,
Mm-hmm.
is true or not. You may be the nicest person in the world, but your ex-wife thinks you're a total friggin' dirtbag, right? And will portray you as such.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I can't assume who's right, who's wrong. My job is to get papers, locate someone. Here you go, you've been served. And then report to the court in an official document with my license and my bond on it that you've been served. Go to court, talk to a judge. If you need to, go talk to a lawyer if you didn't like what you get.
Or a
You know,
therapist.
Right, but charging Jordana with a harassment restraining order, now we all got to go a county away, show up in court. I'm helping her get an attorney right now
Oh,
from a judge who was a former dean of a law school. He was the dean of law at Empire Law College, and then he got put on the bench.
mm-mm.
Okay, he knows better, but they mess with us. And my question is this, I'm thinking, the questions that have to go on during this exchange. But the last question I'm going to insist that they ask him when he's on the stand, would you have charged a Sonoma County sheriff with harassment if he came up to your house? They're going to say no.
Hmm.
Unless he's doing something on video that's harassing, sheriff will come up, knock on your door. Hey, is judge here? He got some papers. He's been served. I'm the same way. That Susan Bassey, God, thank you, Susan. She has put enough videos on the internet of me serving people
Hmm.
that nobody can question. The only thing the county has ever told me, I've been investigated twice with complaints.
Mm.
I wasn't allowed to call the person Pookie because he was pissing me off.
Oh,
Yeah,
he
he
could have
just
been
kept
called something worse.
right, and I did it because it was getting under his skin. And the point was, bring your ass out of the house, get your papers, and get on with your life.
Right.
And so the Sonoma County investigator, no more Pookie. You understand? Yes, sir. And I haven't ever done that since.
Hmm.
But all I'm doing is I've created a job for myself. I mean, it started out as guerrilla warfare. I used to room with a former Green Beret from the Army,
Hmm.
and I learned about guerrilla warfare in Vietnam. And you and I well know going through the court system is a wallet draining experience.
Oh,
I
yes.
mean, wasn't it Christopher Titus, the great comedian, who said, when I walked into family court, there was going to be change. And when I left family court, all I had was change.
Yeah. If that,
Right?
if that.
Yeah. I actually got him to stop in the middle of his show in San Francisco last year. He gets this thing going where he starts getting people going, how long have you been in court? One lady, 2 years. Another one, I've been here 3 years. He's like, that's adorable. And he goes, 13 years, right? He went through court. And so I was about in the middle of the audience and I went, try 22 years.
Hmm.
And people think I'm nuts when I say that. Who would fight for 22 years? What they don't know is I'm not fighting with my ex-wife. My kids are 28 and 30. I'm not fighting for visitation.
Hmm.
I'm fighting because Sonoma County falsified transcripts to protect a commissioner, Louise Bales Fightmaster. We've talked about it. These are the
Hmm.
stories that are in your books, right? Louise Bales Fightmaster had the transcript changed when she was denying me my right to an administrative hearing. And I have both copies of that transcript. It's on the internet. If you want to
Hmm.
find it, type in kids matter fraud. Look for me, and I'm wearing a lavender shirt, and I present them online thanks to the nonprofit Kids Matter and Mark Fidelman down in LA.
Hmm.
I went down, matter of fact, that was shot in his living room.
Oh,
And
that's
so
cool.
we presented the evidence, that the court, and this should worry everyone because I mean, this should have more news because until you're in it, you don't really think about it.
Mm.
But when you're in it, can you imagine if the Pennsylvania court was changing transcripts in your case and you couldn't appeal something because they
Oh,
wrote something untrue? Well,
yeah.
I experienced that. And I stayed silent. I learned from really good lawyers in Sonoma County. You keep your mouth shut, gather your evidence, gather, gather, gather. So I
Hmm.
got the one transcript, and it was 2 years later. And my buddy goes, hey, if they screwed with it, order another one and tell them you lost the first one. So we
Hmm.
did that. She sent it right over. It's a 6-page transcript,
Hmm.
but she wrote my lawyer out of the second one. My lawyer
Yeah.
was a public defender. They were charging me with contempt, a quasi criminal hearing in which they have to afford me a lawyer.
Hmm.
The lady's written into the court summary. Anyone who looks this up with the Public Records Act can verify. And then you see the transcript says I'm in pro per, and all of my lawyer's words, as minimal as they were, are edited out.
Uh,
First transcript has my lawyer. They committed a fraud on the court. It's not, did they commit a fraud on the court? No, it's here is the evidence. Two transcripts, the same hearing, the same day, the same time, should be exactly the same. Like stick it in the copy machine, get another copy, here you go.
hmm.
No, they rewrote it. And the only reason a transcriptionist is going to change a transcript is because either a judge or a lawyer asked her to do it. And in this instance, what was added to it was that the judge offered me a hearing. Now, she didn't. We've talked about this before.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
you can look in the court summary. She did not offer me an administrative hearing. The court clerk didn't list an administrative hearing in the court summary. But I have a transcript that says I was offered a hearing. Well, what's the date and time of that hearing, Commissioner Fightmaster? Because I want to show up for the hearing that I asked for.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But they falsify these evidence. And this is why people like you and I fight all this stuff, because all we want is a fair shake. I haven't seen my kids since 2008 because of all this.
Mm-hmm.
They have been so damaged by the system, and I don't blame them. I mean, I blame their mother because it's a fight between me and their mother, and
Mm-hmm.
they didn't get a chance to know me all that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I've talked on your show before. Before I was, doing what I'm doing here, I was a party boy. I was a stupid young man doing stupid things, and I've owned it. I turned a corner in my life. I had some really great people like Charlie Applegate as an attorney in Santa Rosa,
Mm-hmm.
Jim Baker, who passed away during COVID, but he was Baker Investigations. These
Mm-hmm.
gentlemen were nice enough to give me a little corner office for $500 in their office, and they took me under their wing.
Mm-hmm.
And they taught me about treating people right, about being ethical, about, you just, you have a duty once you get to that point,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I more so, and I actually had a conversation with a CHP officer one night at like 10 o'clock at night. He caught me speeding up north. And he looked at me and he noticed I didn't wave my badge in front of him like, hey, don't give me a ticket, right? But he saw I had a badge in my wallet and he goes, you know what? I'm gonna give you a piece of education here. He goes, I know you don't have any oversight over you.
Mm-hmm.
You have that badge because you own a company, you went and got a bond, and you became a court officer. So you need to hold yourself to a higher standard. You
Mm-hmm.
know, they let you get away with 5 miles an hour in California, most cops. But if you're doing 80, 85 on a 55 freeway, you are going to get pulled over and you were going to have to face a ticket. And I never forgot that conversation at that
Mm-hmm.
hour because he lowered how fast I was going, a lot faster than 80. I was trying to catch somebody. But he lowered the ticket down. But I always remembered that, he gave me respect. He was a senior, a senior officer with the CHP, and he imparted wisdom to me. And I think about that every day, and that's evident in Susan Bassey's videos.
Mm-hmm.
I show up, I'm polite, I'm not a jerk unless I have to be.
Right. And
You
and
know,
you're wearing a Hawaiian shirt that everybody loves.
I do the Hawaiian shirts. Thank you again, Susan. But I'm also wearing a badge,
Right.
you know. And there are some instances where people go off and stuff, and I honestly have said the words, you do understand I'm the fucker with the badge in this equation, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so you want to keep playing, you're already served. Have a good day. You know, I
Mm-hmm.
have called the sheriff's out once, and a guy got 30 days in Sacramento jail for cold cocking me on a serve. It is
Oh.
a felony to assault a court officer. It will, in California, it will often be argued down to a misdemeanor. It's when you research the law and all about it, but still, it is a crime to assault a process server. And that's where coming all the way back around to the young lady who served this judge, that's an assault on her, charging her with harassment when you know better.
Yeah. Oh,
All she
exactly.
was doing was her job. And how many people want to do my job,
No, no.
right? Do you want, for all you've been through in court, for all you've seen in court, it's your experience like me, Maryann, right?
Right.
Do you want to go to these doors with a paper in your hand telling them you're getting sued?
Oh, no. In fact, I had a process server come to my house and give me papers, which was like no big deal. It was like, it was just emotion. I don't know why they bothered and wasted time with a process server. I don't know. But
Right,
I
but
was like,
you still have to be served.
right, well, but they never did that before. They've always mailed them to me. So that's
Oh,
why I just didn't know why this guy was here. He kind of scared me. And I said to him as he was walking to his car, I said, wait, can you just stand with me while I open this up? Because it was so traumatic opening up the mail. it's scary going to the mailbox. Now I got this guy here, and he was irritated, but he stood there, and I said, "Oh, no big deal. Hey, thanks. Have a good day." Saying it's
I
like,
I also keep a lot of jokes on hand. I live here in liberal utopia. So, okay. Well,
okay,
I mean, but yeah. So, I mean, but just like in the midst of like if I were serving you papers,
right.
I might tell you that joke or another joke. I try to make it as light as possible. I'm not here to be a jerk to you. I'm here to protect your civil right.
Hmm.
You have
Hmm.
a right under the law that if somebody files an action against you, you have the right to notice and you have the right to come to court and be heard and contest it.
Hmm.
And I am step one, and I take that very seriously because the case you keep reporting on with the transcripts,
Yep.
that's a violation of due process.
Right. Right.
And people don't think about that, but that's the fact.
Now,
And
yeah, I think everyone should look at their transcripts and I hate to say buy everyone, but I did just to make sure everything was on the up and up.
right. And I mean, I've told people from time to time, I get pleadings and sometimes there's a form missing. And if they're kind of jerkish to me, hey, you gave me a pack of papers to serve, I'm going to serve them.
Hmm.
I'm not here to, I cannot give you the law. Now I get some nice clients, so maybe it's a landlord doing an eviction, and I'll say, by the way, did you know there's what's called a prejudgment claim that you have to attach to this in the state of California? And what
Hmm.
the prejudgment claim is if I'm serving you as a tenant and your boyfriend moved in, became your husband, but he's not on the lease, that
Mm.
last form, that 2-page form, he has 10 days to fill it out. Say, hi, my name is Daryl. I want
Hmm.
to be heard in court. I live here and I shouldn't be evicted. I pay my rent every month.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he's got 10 days to file that to have rights in court. Now, some of these people, forget this, and if they're a jerk to me, it's not up to me to tell them the law. But ones who, are nice to me or ones who give me steady business, I'll point out, hey, by the way, you forgot the prejudgment claim in that. And some might come back and say, well, I know there's only one person there.
Hmm.
All right, so you don't want to pay for the extra one. They're called DOEs,
Hmm.
unnamed defendants. And it's an extra pleading. It's extra work. I got to print 3 copies. I got to put one on the door, take a picture, print a color copy of that photograph. I've got to go down the mail. I've got to certify it. Then I've got to attach the certified slip to your proof of service showing I did all that so that any unnamed defendants in your house for the 10 days after service have the right to engage the court and tell them they want to be heard.
Hmm.
So, that's the other thing with your process server. If you have an experienced one like me, I also catch even lawyers make mistakes. I
Hmm.
mean, I got one time, one lawyer is really nice, gave me this nice leather pouch to put my papers in and stuff. Told me later, goes, do you know you saved me $40,000 by pointing out that I forgot that one form?
Hmm.
His case would have gotten dismissed and he would have lost 40 grand. But I went through and I was looking through. I said, by the way, didn't you file a blah, 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 blah? And, oh, wait a minute, wait a minute. And he quick typed up the form and signed it and put that in there. Yes, sir. I'll get it done.
Uh-huh. Well, I mean, are you in contact with other process servers like just like a
There's a
group of
couple
yes?
out here. There's one out here. It's a fast track process serving.
Hmm.
It's a lady named Buzz Kirk and her husband. They've been doing it. She used to be a clerk at the courthouse. But when they get the difficult ones, where it looks like, there's going to be a problem, they send me. I'm 6'3", bald head with my little goatee. And I go out and deal with those people. And I got no problem with it because I'm not out there to hurt anyone. I'm not out there to be mean to you. I'm out there to protect your right. There's oftentimes, wearing that badge, I've had them literally try and tell a cop, he said he was a police officer.
Uh,
No, I didn't. And I
right.
says, you have a Ring doorbell right there. Why don't you show the footage to the officer? Oh, we don't need to do that. Yeah, we
Uh-huh.
do. Because I am a court officer. Okay. I'm here to protect your right to notice. That is my whole job, beginning to end, and to certify to the court that you've been properly served. And then it's up to you to respond to the court or enforce your rights.
It's almost
But
like
step,
you have, oh, I'm sorry. It's almost like
no,
you
no,
have to
go
wear
ahead.
a body cam.
I do now. That actually helped in a case recently. There was this probate matter where apparently this 92-year-old man was being held by certain members of his family. And
Mm-hmm.
apparently they were a very wealthy family because they had a mile-long driveway past the gate,
Oh.
which was why I was hired, because it was literally all uphill to their house.
Oh.
And you got to hop the gate. You can't drive your car up there because the gate's locked. So you hop the gate, and I walk literally a mile uphill, stopping every so often and panting like a maniac.
Oh
I get
man.
up to the house, and as I'm walking up, I can see the family through the window. So I call in, and the lady comes to the window. What are you here for? Well, ma'am, I got some paperwork for you. Well, I had the body cam on this one because we just started using it. Well, on the body cam footage, that man was on the couch laying down. So we serve these papers, and these papers tell them we've got a court order. We're going to come pick this man up and bring him back to the other members of the family where he belongs. We
Mm-hmm.
feel you've done something wrong. So they quick scurried him off to another building or something. And when they showed up with the medical mobile transport to pick him up, they're like, he's not here. And the lawyer's like, oh, no, 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 no. We have a body cam. He was there last night. Why
Uh-huh.
is he not there this morning? And they got a court order, and then I had to go film when we picked him up. And he was such a nice man. Turn around, I got to talking with him about we were switching from one vehicle to the other, and he's like, let's do a movie and grab some popcorn. So I found out from the lawyer, I'm going to drop by and give him a bag of popcorn and talk to him for a couple of minutes because he just seemed like the nicest old man.
Mm-hmm.
But he was going through that. And had I not been wearing the body cam, it would have made it a lot harder for them in court to enforce the order because, well, we don't know where he is.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, you do, because he was sitting on your couch and we have evidence less than 24 hours ago. And it made a difference. So I do body cams now. There's also, I do a lot of, I take pictures of people with their papers. I
Mm-hmm.
don't do it to publish them or anything, but I do give it to the party that hired me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, they've been served. And you wouldn't believe how many in 18 years people, I wasn't served. I never received papers.
Oh.
I don't care what he filed. And then I got to show up in court. And then they're like saying all of a sudden, I go on my phone and said, is that you holding the papers right there? And then they're caught lying in front of a judge.
Oh.
And famous, it's called Vincent falsus in falsus in omnibus is falsus in omnibus. It's Latin. They teach it to you in law school,
Uh-huh.
meaning if you lie in one thing, you lie in all things. So
Mm-hmm.
catching them lying with that picture, now their whole testimony goes out the window because they were caught lying.
Mm-hmm. Right,
Just
because
get it
how
through
can
your
you
head.
trust their word?
Right. Get it through your head. You've been served. Deal with the person who served you. You don't come after the man or the woman that takes on this job that not a lot of people want. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I've trained no less than about 10 people over the years. And the lady who got charged with this harassment was the first one that took. She went, she got the license, she went, she got a badge, and she got out there and started doing it. And I applaud her for it. And that's why I says, hey, I'll show up and be an expert witness for you.
Mm.
So
Yeah, that's going to
this,
be something. That's going to, it's good. You can be an expert witness for her.
unfortunately, I've been doing this long enough to be an expert witness. But,
Yes.
going through this legal process is hard enough than attacking someone innocuously that all you're doing is creating more fees and stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
this lady now, the one that did this, I'm going to get a civil harassment restraining order. And I'm thinking I might even go into small claims and charge her for defamation and see if the court will give me $1,000 for her telling you media people all these lies about me,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
you know? And matter of fact, in one thing she sent you recently, didn't she say, oh, me and my daughter are fine. We're going on a trip. No, you're not. You're going to court on the 17th in a local county here, and she has me showing up to testify against you as to what I've experienced and all these emails that you've sent attacking me and lying about her. The poor kid wants nothing to do with you because of whatever you did as a mother. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know what that is. I don't need to know. Not
Mm-hmm.
my family, not
Mm-hmm.
my problem. All my job is your daughter had an issue, filed papers with the court, and she needed a professional to serve them on you and certify to the court that you were served so she can go and get the documents, or in this case, a restraining order that she wants. She
Mm-hmm.
wants to be left alone.
Oh, yeah. Wow. Yeah, I know because I had gotten multiple emails that I sent to you.
Yeah. And all she's doing, she's attacking somebody and she's creating a problem for herself.
Yeah, it's just,
Do you think I really want to go 6 hours north for court and file a restraining order that I've got to show up, pay that gas, go up there? Then I've got to sue her for all that money and find out, does she even have money?
hmm
I don't know. Well, if she's going on a cruise, she might have a few bucks, at least according to what
Yeah.
she's claiming.
Huh. Interesting. This is why I'm glad I had you come on so we can like talk about a whole bunch of things. But if anyone has any questions, how can they reach you? Do you want me to put not to be taken away at live.com in the podcast notes?
Yep, they can do that. And believe me, they wouldn't be the first to call me and ask me about process serving information. I've even had judges who know me, they know me by my reputation, and they'll call up and they'll ask, what is here? I've had judges hire me to do serves for them,
hmm
in personal and professional.
Oh,
I'll tell you
definitely.
that's a quick, neat story there. I had a judge one night hired me to go serve about half a dozen litigants for him in a case that he wanted them all to show up. And for some reason, I got pulled over that night. And the cops go, "What are you doing out here tonight?" "I'm serving subpoenas for the judge." "Okay, have a good day." And
Yeah,
off you go.
bye. That's funny. That's funny. Do you want your phone number on this podcast notes or not?
Let them get a hold of me on the email because I already get enough calls that my voicemail is always full. I get a
Okay.
lot of, your voicemail's full? Yes, I just cleared it out 20 minutes ago and it got
Oh
filled up
man.
again. Because you get that
Oh.
person, they call once, you don't answer, they leave a message. They call back in 5 minutes, they leave a message, and it's name, 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 then another name, name,
Oh no.
and they fill up. You only get 20 slots on your phone.
Yeah. Yep.
And
Uh,
so when you do as many cases as I do, that's an all day thing.
oh, definitely. Definitely. Well, I thank you for your time. Don't jump off, okay?
Okay. And hey, again, Maryann, thank you so much for what you do because it takes real moxie to step up and get in this platform. I know for me, I know how hard it's been to try and get a show going. And I
Mm.
mean, we've been talking about it with me for over a year, and it's finally happening. We're
hmm
getting all the equipment for the studio, but we also got the radio involved. Local radio station
Good.
on FM radio. And until the contract is signed, I won't say their name, but we have the contract drawn up, and I just need to come up with some production costs because in radio, you've got a technician at the board, you've got a studio that they pay for, you've got advertising that they do for you as part of your contract to
hmm
advertise your show.
hmm
So thank you so much, you, Susan Bassey, Eric Carroll, and those who step up and do this because parents going through this or just litigants in general, they do need some help. And
hmm
that's part of what my thing is going to be about is I'm going to have a commissioner on to talk about family law. I'm going to have a former prosecutor come on and talk about what prosecutors do when, you're charged with a crime and how they look at things. And, one of the shows we're pitching is your lawyer is not your therapist at $350 an hour. You
Exactly.
get these people. I mean, I'm lucky. My lawyer, Eric Wafer, we're
Mm.
also personal friends. I talk to him like every second or third day. We talk on the phone. I know his family. I know his kids, his wife. I know his 5 dogs. I can do that because he's not charging me for those conversations. But when you have an attorney, you know, at
Yeah.
$350 an hour, he counts those calls,
Yeah.
you
Don't
know?
emote. Don't
Right.
emote. It racks
Yeah.
up a bill.
And yeah, and so what we're going to do is we're going to have a lawyer come on. And we're also going to talk about, when you show up at your lawyer's office, have a list. I want to talk about, did you get this police report? Did you get the body cam video? Did you talk to the officer at all? Did you file a paper for our opposition? And you have a checklist of what you want to achieve. Counselor, that's what I want to talk about today. And
Oh,
he
yeah.
can go over it. And in an hour, you pay $350 instead of what? $1,050 for 3 hours because 2 hours of it was you phone calling. Did you know my brother Bob did this? And
Uh-huh.
he should be
Uh-huh.
in jail. He's an idiot.
Yeah.
And they go off on a whole story tangent. Talk to your girlfriend or your boyfriend about that,
Right.
not
Right.
your lawyer. It's costing you
Exactly.
money.
Well,
you
you're
know?
you're you're gonna have a real interesting show. That's gonna be great, Mark. That's great. Well, hey,
Well, it's finally getting off the ground, and I thank all the people that are making it possible. Steve Jackson from The Drive in Santa Rosa, he just retired, but his production company is stepping up, taking me under their wing. They're going to show me how to do it right. Steve and I, we're going to get together over dinners and stuff and whatnot. And he's going to show me how to do it on the professional level because he's been on radio for 17 years. I mean, he is
mm-hmm,
a staple here in the Bay Area.
mm,
And I mean, when you're retiring and the DA shows up and the police show up and all these people come on to say goodbye to you. Matter of
mm-hmm.
fact, famous chef Mark Fietti, you know him, the guy with
Oh,
the spiked hair.
yep,
He
yep.
called in. They've been friends for years, and he's developed those relationships over 17 years. Just like in the way I've developed these relationships with you and with Miss Bassie and with Eric Carroll and different people that are in this family movement. You
Mm-hmm,
know, people like me, when we've had nothing, appreciated the fact that I got a page in your book.
mm-hmm,
And Susan Bassie, she came out and videotaped me serving somebody so people can actually see. I don't go up there and go, "Hey, you're a jerk. Here's your papers, damn it." No. Hello. How you doing, ma'am? I'm here. My name is Mark Andrews. I'm an officer with the Superior Court, and I've got some papers for you. Okay.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Oh, how you doing today? Yeah, you're cooking, and I try and be nice. Oh, you got a little dog. Well, hey, be careful, death by ankle. I don't want to get bit, you
Right.
know?
Yeah.
And when you walk out, you shut the gate. You treat people with dignity
Right.
because there's no reason we don't get to, be decent. Decency
Definitely.
doesn't cost anything.
Right, right. Well, hey, don't jump off. Slam the
Okay.
Gavel is a podcast to help the public understand what really goes on in these courtrooms. I'm your host, Maryann Petri, and you can find me on Spotify, YouTube. Please like and subscribe, Apple iTunes, iHeartRadio, Google, and other platforms I don't know about. Again, feel free to buy me a coffee to help keep this podcast going. Thank you, Mark Andrews. Thank you so much.
Thank you.